J at this. He has another level of highlight. Are you ready to turn up? Because I know the major key to success is to dance on your feet. Let's go.
Yeah.
You are not watching Eve's Eye.
Keep watching Eve's Eye. So welcome back, guys. This is part 2 to my story. If this is your first time tuning into Eve's Eye, just like, subscribe, and share. So yeah, this is the continuation. So basically, my parents were like, okay, you know what? Maybe you should just move. Maybe you should just move to a different part in Brampton. Maybe she would just change, or perhaps a miracle will happen. That's what they were thinking. At that point, my parents were just running away from their problems. African parents, they don't have patience. They don't like the fact that other African parents are going to be able to talk about their kid. And it's just like, yeah, they talk a lot. African parents talk a lot. Yeah, so yeah. So yeah, so we moved to a different part in Brampton. We moved to Ice Cap, and mind you, this is the area that Indians were invested in. So I don't know why they chose to move there after they tried to run away from the situation of where they first put me. I'm like, I don't want to stay. I even stayed at Latora's place for like a good 2 weeks, to the point that Latora's mom had to kindly asked my parents to come get me because she basically couldn't. Yeah, I was already drama kid, so we had already gone to Bramley and gone and stolen some stuff, so you know, we were already in trouble already. So basically, yeah, it was just getting worse. The summer was popping, you know, the summer was good, and then I went to high school. In high school, that's when I met friends that were just basically high above the elementary school situation, and it got worse. And I met, like, you know, to the whole like new area. I went to Chinguzi secondary school in Brampton. You know, I went to school, first day of school, I'm like, alright, it's not that. I didn't really care for anything at that point. I was just trying to like get my life together. I think at that point I was really trying to get myself together again, because I don't know, I was just fed up of the whole lifestyle.
You want me to help, Rose?
No, thank you. No, thank you.
What do you want me to do?
What about yourself?
And then I met my friend Tanisha. Dun, 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 dun. So Tanisha was basically from Toronto, and she also was basically one of those friendly people. She saw me in the hallway. She's like, yo, hey girl, what's up? You know, da, 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 da. I'm like, oh my God, she cool, like she down to earth. And that time she was dating a Ghanaian, so it was like, whoo, even better. Like she understands the rhythm, like she understands, you know, she understands the people. So I'm like, okay, how are you doing? Good, all right, we're good, okay, we're friends, all right. So yeah, she followed me to go see my friends in Brampton, the other side of Brampton. And from then, me and Tanisha became Batty and Bench. Like, yo, me and Tanisha go everywhere. Me and Tanisha will skip class. Me and Tanisha will do this. Me and Tanisha will go to house parties. Me and Tanisha, everything was Tanisha and Evelyn. Tanisha and Evelyn. Tanisha and Evelyn. Yo, so just got worse. So basically, I was so bad to the point that I'd be like, yo, T, like, what did we say for lunch? Yo, let's skip the class, man. Like, yo, what are you saying, dog? Like let's dip set. Like, what's up? I'm about that life still. So we would skip class, and our friends were also, like, popping. They would have house jams during first period, second period, third period, and fourth period. So what does that mean? No school. So we will leave school, go jam. Yo, those times I was learning how to whine. Like, I for the first time, I cannot lie, I was one of those girls that you see in those like Jamaican videos that would go head top, and on the butt, like my leg would literally be like over here, and then my head would be on the floor. That's how bad it was getting. So we would skip class, go jam, go party. Yo, at a point I was even sleeping at the jams. I was just skipping class left, right, center. My grades were all like, my teacher was always calling my mom and dad, please, your daughter has been skipping class. It's really not, you know, it's not healthy for her academics. I don't know what the hell they said, but they just said something. I at a point even had to fake that I was sick. So I'll call in my school, I'll be like, T, yo, what's popping for tomorrow? We're going to jam. Okay, then call the school and tell them that you're not going to be able to make it. So me too. This is where my African accent came into play. Sometimes I thought, like, you know, the African accent wasn't cool and all that. It actually came to my advantage. So I called my school. So I left a message. Hello, this is Evelyn's mother. She will not be coming into school today. So please don't bother calling because we are leaving the country. We are going for a family relative thing. So thank you so much and God bless you. T's on the phone like, where did the accent come from? She didn't know that I just freshly came from Ghana a year ago. So I still had the accent, but I just had to like switch it up when I met them, you know what I mean?
I don't, okay, because when the MPP came, I was pissed in the Ghana. So I didn't like this thing was change me. I don't understand you. That is why I'm talking.
So at that point, you know, being African wasn't cool. It wasn't cool. It was looked like, okay, I don't know why it wasn't cool that back then, but now yo, like, yo, we Ghanaians, yo, we popping, yo, like, anyways. So yeah, so you know, me and T skipped class and it was just getting out of hand. We would just basically be in trouble all the time. And then I believe at that point my parents said, okay, so she went to Ghana the first time and she didn't learn. So what's the next step? And I guess, as always, our nation will deliver for you, my church. They went to church, and I guess they told them the same thing over and over. Class so much that the teacher said that they're gonna basically send me to this other school, some next school across the street. I forgot the name. And basically for people who do hair, like people who does hair mechanics. And I wasn't one of those people that could do handiwork. So my dad just knew that that decision was not gonna help me and it was not gonna benefit me, because obviously when you're an African kid, you are basically looked upon to be a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer, a judge, a nurse, a judge. So basically my dad was not going to do one of those things where I just go to school and learn handiwork. So he's like, nah, I can't do that. Nah, please, I cannot take my child to no mechanical school, learn what? Learn hairdressing. What is hairdressing? We don't do that. No, so it didn't happen. So my dad spoke to me. He's like, okay, well, now that you're out of control, once again, you're getting suspended from school. You're not doing so well. Do you think Ghana's another consideration for you to go back?
I don't take madness. I don't take far.
This man just asked me though. He just asked me if I want to go back to Ghana. Hell nah. Hell nah. Hell nah. Hell nah. 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 No. 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 So he's like, okay, cool. Whatever. So, you know, I at a point was even getting into positions where I'm like, okay, you know, I'm liking this. I even had a crush on this guy. I'm not saying his names because, you know, he probably is on my Facebook and I don't even know. So I had a crush on this man. So, like, you know, when he told me, like, you know, come to the house party, I was all about that life. So, you know, one of those things. That's another story I'll tell you guys, which is going to be later on. I'm going to have beer stories. So, once again, I had basically turned back to Evelyn, the crazy girl. So my parents told me this. They're like, okay, you know what? Since it's summer again, we are going to be taking you to see your auntie in Sweden. I believed it because I don't know what these parents do to me that always convinces me to fall for their tricks. So they're like, okay, you're going back to your auntie in Sweden. You're going to go visit her for the summer, you know, just have fun, you know, go see your cousins. You haven't seen them before, so, you know. I'm like, okay, that's so cool. I get to go to I get to travel. I get to leave Toronto, you know? Like, I'm the person, I like to travel. I really, genuinely love traveling from when I was small. So it's not even like one of those things I just like traveling. No. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll go see them. And yo, my cousins too, they call me like, yo, Evelyn, you're coming to Sweden. You're gonna come see us. Yo, you're gonna see. I hadn't seen them before in my life, eh? I don't even know how they look like. Oh, no. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go to Sweden. So I told my friend Tanisha, I'm like, yo, T, I'm going to Sweden, you know, for the summer. Like, it's one of those things. I just want to just take a break, you know. Already, you know, this guy that I'm even crushing on is not even paying attention to me. So what's the whole point of me staying anyway? So it's not gonna be one of those summers, you know. She's like, okay, cool, you know. When you come back, just buy me, you know, kicks, because you know, I thought like, you know, go to Sweden, you're gonna be able to like buy kicks, you know, buy those nice stuff. And yeah, so I got ready, packed. I packed 2 days before the trip. I'm like, okay. And this time it was not with my mom, it was with my dad. So these people, much easier, because I'm like, okay, I don't get along with my mom, because me and my mom is like, like my mom doesn't have patience. That's what it is. So yeah, so my dad took me. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go see my auntie in Sweden. I get on the flight. Mind you, KLM was always the one that would transport people from Toronto to these places. So I got on KLM, you know, I was enjoying my flight. I had the first flight to Amsterdam. So I'm like, okay, we're going to Amsterdam. I was having fun. I had my, you know, mind you, my dad bought me some new headphones. So I was like in the airport, and I had my, like, back then you wear those big tees. So I thought it was nice. I'm like, yo, I'm going to go see my cousins. So we get to Amsterdam. We're boarding the flight, and the line going towards Ghana, and then there's a line going towards Sweden, there's a line going towards here. So I'm like, okay, let's go. So Dad, we're gonna be a little bit late, you know, we're gonna, you know, be late, because, you know, the next flight for Sweden is being called right now. He's like, yeah, no problem, you go. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, yeah, Dad, the next flight for Sweden, they're boarding. Like, we have to go, because, you know, I don't want to be late to go see my cousins. You know, one of those things. He's like, yeah, don't worry. I said, don't worry. Why are you worrying? I'm worrying because I'm going to miss my flight to go to Sweden. He's like, don't worry. I said, don't worry. At that point, I'm like, what's going on? Like, really, what's going on? And then we missed the flight. Like, whatever. We missed the Sweden flight. So then my dad is one of those things that he knows how to convince me. My dad has the key to my heart. Like, my dad is my all, okay? So he's like, okay, you know what? Evelyn, we missed the flight to go to Sweden. So we're going to have to take the Ghana flight to go to Ghana. And then from Ghana, we go to Sweden. I'm like, oh, okay. So I get to go see. At that point, I don't know what was going through my mind. It wasn't clicking. I don't think far, you know, like as Lil Wayne would say, I don't think so. I don't think madness. I don't think far. I just don't think far. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I trust my dad, because I really did trust my dad. I really trust my dad. Like, I trust my dad. Okay, so like, okay, so let's go. So let's go to Ghana first and go see, you know, Mom, because at that time Mom was in Ghana. So, you know, I didn't think it was one of those. It was like, you know, it didn't click. So I'm like, okay, let's go see Mom and then go to Sweden after. Guys, how much of a trap it was when we landed in Kotoka airport, and I'm like, just wait a minute, wasn't it the same pilot that said welcome to Kotoka International? And I'm like, Radimedin hi. Whoa, I'm like, how did I just let my dad punk me and bringing me to Ghana 2 times, okay? 2 times. Not one, but 2 times. At that moment, I realized that, like, all my big and bad for nothing, I could have just been big and smart at that moment to realize that they were taking me to Ghana once again. And here I was, A1, back in Accra. This time I actually saw Grandma still, you know, I saw Grandma, you know. And then when my mom, you know, you know what part clicked that I realized, I'm like, okay, you're literally staying back in Ghana here, not going back, is when my mom said, Akwabo. I had lost the case. Got used to the system again. This time I didn't stay in Accra with my cousins no more. They took me to Kumasi and they gave me a better option. So I went to a school in Kumasi. It was an international school. So it was like basically a school where it's like all types of people from all over the world were there. So it was basically popping. Like, and mind you, it was summer school again. I was enjoying myself, you know, getting to know all the cool kids around the world. Mind you, there were rich kids too, so it's like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. So, you know, one of those things where we just, you know, vacation, you know, I felt like I was in Canada. I didn't feel like I was in Ghana because the school was just that, like, it was just very versatile, and the people there were just different and they understood, you know, what I was saying. And then once again, my auntie in Kumasi told my parents that the best decision for them to do for me, to take me back to boarding school. I nearly cried. Ghanaian would say I cried, if you like, cry blood. Hey, back to boarding school. After all that experience that I had. So I decided, at that time I was 14, so I'm like, okay, you know what? They're not gonna punk me again going to boarding school. So I'm like, I'm not going to school. I'm not going to school. I'm like, I'm not going to school. I'm like, I'm not going to school. What are you gonna do about it? I'm staying right here. And at the time I thought I was big and bad once again. So when my mom had enough of basically, my dad was stressed because my dad was so stressed. And the thing about my dad is that he gets stressed very easily. So when I said I wasn't gonna go to school, he's like, what's the point of bringing someone who's not going to go to school? Might as well just take her back to her country so that she can at least be whatever she wants to do with herself. Let her do it to herself. That's what Ghanaians say. Dang. So my dad was just frustrated. He was just getting fed up. And my dad is very sensitive. He's such a good man to the point that, like, although he tricked me into this, he felt sorry for me. So he's like, okay, you know what? Let me just take this girl back to Canada. So my dad broke the news to me that he's like, I see that you're not coping with the situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you back. But don't tell your mom. So I'm like, okay, you know what? That is cool like this. I'm going to make dad proud. Like, I'm going to make, like, also, I was like, so, oh my God, like, I'm daddy's little girl. Like, he's going to send me back to Canada. Mind you, we had a jam next week. So next week in Canada, I had a jam to go to. And the boy that I was crushing on actually kind of, like, liked me back. So I wanted to go back and, like, you know, just try to work things out, you know. So I was very happy, went back. So he's like, okay, let's go. So what he did was he went to KLM office and told them that he would like a return ticket back straight, no return. And I remember the money was expensive. It was, remember, it was holiday season, so the ticket was like around $2,000. But my dad did not care to the fact that he didn't care. He just wanted me to just go back and just basically be a good kid and just shut up and just don't miss class, period. So he bought a ticket. He got everything. I was so excited because, once you go to Makola Market, that means you're coming back. Like, if anybody knows, any Ghanaian parent or any kid that goes to Ghana often or been to Ghana, once you go to Makola Market, it means you're basically getting a return ticket back to home because you're basically buying adrin. Adrin means fish, so you're getting all that stuff. So he gave me all the stuff, and that time my auntie was living in our place while my parents were there. So he's like, "Oh, give this stuff to your auntie, and then when you're there, you cook whatever." So got my stuff. And so my dad took my stuff, packed all my stuff for me. I was going back to Canada, and then I reached the airport, ready to, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go inside the airport. If you guys watch my vlogs, you see the airport in Ghana, like the same place that my mom was standing. The thing about Ghana is that nothing changes. The way the airport looked then is the way the Ghana airport looks now. So whatever. So yeah, so I stood there, I got out the car, me and my dad got out the taxi. We're going inside, we're about to say our goodbyes. And then my mom comes out of nowhere and says, Kofi. My dad's name Kofi. And in Kaudi Akrano call back to Ghana. Hey, my husband, you want to disobey our matrimony ring and take this? I'm sorry to say, she called me Bonsam. I'm not translating it. This Bonsam back to where? Canada. Over my dead body. Once a Ghanaian, or once an African says over my dead body, is over her dead body for real. Like, yo, I think everybody at the airport was like, what's going on? Like, what's going on? Like, what's going on? Like, what's really going on? Like, what's going on? When that happened, my dad just basically had no option but to take me back to Kumasi. I went back to Kumasi and I said I wasn't going to go back to school. We were square one. And then my mom just got these people to like, some macho men. I said at a point, I'm not going to school. I'm like, I'm not going to school. I'm like, forget that. I'm not going nowhere. So my mom got my parents to come and lift me, this Obolo, and send to school. So that day, I was laying in bed, I was sleeping, you know? I didn't know what was going on. Then I feel men, like strong 4 men, okay? 4 men carry me into the car. Imagine, I'm like, like I said, I'm not going to school. So they got me in a car. This is my uncle's plan, eh? My uncle, no, like I'm so angry at my uncle. They got me in my car. They got me in the car, and I was headed to boarding school. And I was yelling. People thought I was crazy. Like people thought I was going. Like they're like, what's wrong with this? What's going on? Is she okay? Like I was screaming on top of my lungs, to the point that people started to think I was being kidnapped. So we got to the school that they're taking me to for boarding school. And this was a different school than the international school we were talking, because the international school they didn't have a boarding school. So we got there, they took me out the car. They're like, yo, we're bringing her to school. We're bringing her to boarding school. She needs to stay here. She doesn't want to listen. We're trying to bring her to school. She doesn't want to listen. And the secretary came out. He's like, what's wrong with you guys? How can you carry someone's daughter the way you guys carried her into here and think you could just F shit up? Are you crazy? So the secretary took me, held my hand. Honestly, I really appreciate that secretary to this day. His name is Mike. And yeah, so the school that I was basically brought to was Angel Educational Complex in Kumasi. So I got like, you know, they took me out the car and the secretary took me to the office. He talked to me. He's like, I'm sorry, this is not supposed to be happening to you, because he didn't know I was a bad kid. So, you know, he's like, yeah, this shouldn't be done to you. Like, you should be having your own rights. I'm like, okay, this sound like a children's aid thing, you know? Like, but he's not. We don't have children's aid in Ghana. So, yeah. So he's like, okay, let me just take you to the director, show him what these guys are doing to you, because I don't think it's right. I think they should just take you back home and you make the decision if you want to go to school or not. It's not by force to go to school. When I heard that, I'm like, yeah, it's not by force to go to school, especially when I don't want to be in Ghana. We're walking, we're talking, and then he brings me to the director of the school, and he's like, Etta saying, oh, hey ma. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm getting called a queen here. So, you know, I'm kind of liking the situation right now. He's like, Etta saying, how are you? I know you, my secretary just told me that what just happened. I'm like, yeah, they basically dragged me from my house to here. He's like, they shouldn't do that. He's like, who's your mother? I'm like, my mom's name was Baya. And I was like, he's like, oh, okay. He's like, who's your father? I'm like, my dad's name is this, Isaac, whatever. And he's like, so what, you know, Ghanaians, they like to, like, this is the thing about Ghanaians. They like to know where you're from. They like to know your background. I don't know why it's like that, but like, yeah. So he's like, okay, who's your mother? Who's your father? And then I told him who my mother was. And he's like, isn't your mother the daughter? I did not know at that point who I was at that point, because I don't know my background like that. He's like, isn't your mom the daughter of I'm like, yeah. Agency, yeah, okay, nothing serious. He's like, then he's like, then you're my niece. You're my uncle? He's like, yeah, you're my niece. I'm like, what a coincidence. The owner of the school is my uncle. At that point, I promise you, I legitimately, on my honor, decided to stay in Ghana. My uncle was a school owner of Angel Complex, so therefore, I had become one of the best kids of privileges in the school. So they called my mom, they called my dad. They're like, okay, you have to come to the school. So my uncle basically called them. You know, Ghanaian parents are just very, you know, like, I love Ghanaian parents. They're just, you know, they're just very cultured, you know. Called my parents that this is not wrong, but he's going to take care of me. And honestly, from then on, like, even though I was a bad kid, I still got advantage of everything. I took advantage of everything. Like, when I mean everything, when people are going to school and going to class, I'll miss class because my uncle is basically the owner. So what are you going to tell me? Like, how are you going to tell me? Like at a point, like teachers wouldn't even beat me because I was just too special. I at a point felt so special to the point that like I'm like I got even my teacher. Okay, from then like I can't lie. Like my stay in Ghana was pretty much like it was better. Like I felt more comfortable. I got used to the things. And I like to be honest, every time I went to Ghana, I was dropping weight. But like, if you want to hear more stories about my Ghana experience, I have so much. But like, I can't tell you guys all in one because then it's gonna be so long and dragged on. But all I gotta say is that I was excited and I stayed in Ghana for like another 3 years. I finished school, I completed, and GSS 3 and like all the things I did. I came back to Canada and I was basically an okay kid, okay? I didn't end up being holier than thou, but I ended up being who I am today. So it made me a better person. So yes, I appreciate going to Ghana. I would like to say thank you so much for watching my story time. Like, subscribe, and share. And watch my Ghana vlogs and keep updated with what I'll bring next to you. Hey.
Are you ready to turn up?
Bye.
Major key to success. The dance on your feet. Let's go.
Yeah.